Right, Mr. David Newton of Belvoir. So you've got an extensive track record um, in franchise businesses, and that's really where you've kind of put your heart and soul
Franchising and property.
over the last
Yes.
19 years. It's an awful long time, um, and you've achieved a load. But what is if you could pick one moment or one achievement that you're most proud of in your professional career, what would it be?
I mean, I'd probably say being part of the team that sold the business to Belvoir and moved the Newton Fallowell network onto the next, stratosphere, basically, because, we'd grown a great business as a family run business with Mark Newton, me, David Spackman and Andrew Derry. But really, the point at which we sold it to Belvoir and became part of the Belvoir group was when the brand really went into the next stratosphere, and we've helped grow the business with underneath the Belvoir umbrella. That really, for me, was a great moment to be part of the before and after and the during.
And what's for people that are perhaps listening to us and wondering how they can grow their business to such a sort of a level that they eventually would be very attractive to a larger franchise group. The kind of the process, the pregnancy is tremendous, can be tremendously long. It doesn't happen all overnight, and it can be painful and painstaking. Give us an idea of what it takes to get through that process.
Well, I think it's the main key is removing yourself from the business, or making it. And this isn't me, but this is like Mark Newton and Andrew Derry making a business that you can be taken out of, because then you become much more attractive to somebody else because you aren't required, if that makes sense. So I think the key is to set the business up with automations, integrations, the right prop tech, the right people, so that you can distance yourself from the business and reap the benefits of a business that's running with less involvement from yourself, but also meaning you are a spare part in the resale, which obviously makes it more attractive. And the hardest businesses to resell are the ones that are driven by a particular individual. If that individual wants to sell and exit, it becomes very tricky.
And do you when these businesses sort of lose that individual character, does the culture of those businesses survive, or does it by nature become more corporate because you're taking that personal element out of it?
Well, I think franchising is unique in that way anyway, because the culture of a franchise is different to the same size culture of the same size business culture of a corporate, because the franchising is in itself a very unique business with lots of different chiefs within a business. And so the culture is more driven around the franchisees than it is around the all-powerful leader, albeit an all-powerful leader can certainly control the culture. So I think if you run a corporate business and you are the all-powerful leader, you are critical and probably influential in the culture. And yes, if you take it out, the culture will change to whoever becomes the new leader. But it's just a bit different in franchising, but we do still have David Spackman is now, the managing director of Newton Fallowell, and he was a key part of it before. So the culture is not dissimilar to what it was before, but it's now part of a bigger culture, I guess, because we're now part of the Belvoir group, and there's a whole massive network of support now to the franchisees. And the same applies to Northwood. They were bought by Belvoir a year after Newton Fallowell, and they've gone through a sort of a cultural shift, becoming part of the bigger machine. So,
and obviously, estate agency is very much in your blood. It's your legacy, if you like. But if you were to sort of take yourself back to the early days, if you could put yourself in the shoes of a younger estate agent starting out from day one, if you could give them one piece of advice to something that you have found invaluable along the way and you've learned, what would it be?
recruitment and software. Those two combined, get the right people and get the right software, the right integrations, automations, as I say. That's the key. And get all of the cogs. I mean, it's not actually what we did, because we started, quite a long time ago, where the software that was available then has, long been, thrown in the bin and gone. So, we've had to make changes. But if you were starting now, make sure you got the right cloud-based software and the right people running it.
You can achieve so much more. Just if you were to sort of think about even just property management as a field of expertise, we're able to manage more properties with less people nowadays.
Yeah.
In terms of the tech that's available, I think if you're looking to scale up quicker, you can do that in a more controlled and efficient way these days than you could, say, 10 or 20 years ago, for sure, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Funny enough, property management is absolutely, the biggest problem is still a people business. So yes, you can automate and integrate and all of those snazzy things, but there is so much person-to-person contact needed that that's where the right people and the right software absolutely come in.
So maybe sort of following on from that, we've just been through a very sort of tumultuous political news cycle. Congratulations, we're on to our second Prime Minister just this week, but and obviously there are plenty of challenges out there for the general market, but also estate agents as a whole. If you could choose one issue that you feel is currently affecting our industry that we need to all sort of put our minds to solving, if you could pick just one, I know there's loads. What's your bugbear? What would you want us to do?
Conveyancing process.
Oh, there's a commonality
and there might be loads, but none of them at all, any impact like that. We need to resolve the conveyancing process. It is archaic, so manual, and we absolutely need better upfront information that is linked through, get more people exchange ready, dare I say it, HIPS. And I've been around long enough now to have lived through the birth, life and death of HIPS. There was something in it, we needed definitely a HIPS light, but something like that would could revolutionize, as long as it flowed through into the transaction. Again, something that he's looking at. So yeah, the conveyancing process, so from pre-market, market to sale through to exchange completion, we need to completely revisit that whole process.
It's funny because you look at auction processes, for instance, and I know in our marketplace, auction, although we try and integrate them into our businesses sometimes, they're still, in terms of the mindset of an agent, quite divorced from the private treaty process. But there's a lot of efficiencies in that upfront information, the legal pack being ready, everything being ready to go, that somehow hasn't carried across. Do you feel that in order to change it, I mean, because we as estate agents will sit around all day and moan about the conveyancing process. I am sure there are conveyancers talking right now as we speak about estate agents and how they may get in their way. So I understand that those are two sort of almost parts of the puzzle. Does it require legislation in order to change it? Because it is effectively...
Absolutely. I think there's certain key parts to the process that need to change. So, I think the conveyancing process is broken and needs completely changing. So I don't think it's just upfront information. I think, it's the whole process. But the first point would be the upfront information to help, speed up, shave several weeks off of the process.
Fantastic. David, thank you so much for your time.